sentence for Ghislaine Maxwell. So your thoughts, Lisa Lockwood, on what Sarah Ransom had to say, her feelings on that 20-year sentence?
Away, and she's thinking about, every last item of what she will not be able to do. So again, she's figuring out a way to have some solace with all of this. And one of the things I love that she said is that she's turning this trauma into something good, where she is going to help people and help survivors by sharing her story and also being a coach and counselor for people who are going through that. She lived through it, so I think it's a beautiful thing to think of others.
Well, we have more from Sarah Ransom, so let's listen to a little bit more of what she told Michael Bryant following the sentencing. Lisa, your thoughts?
Think about those words. Hopefully it's the ending, because we're looking at potentially an appeal and the process just continuing and continuing. I don't think she's going to fare well in prison, Ghislaine, because of her lifestyle, and she had already been complaining about the conditions and trying to get out early because of COVID and everything else. So I think a couple of things will happen. If she does get an appeal, depending on how long that takes, she doesn't want to be behind bars. So I still think there is potential for her to reveal that almighty black book list, photographs, videos, things that were taken out of Jeffrey Epstein's house before the feds were able to seize it during their search warrant. So I still think she's out for herself and self-preservation.
I think that's interesting you bring that up in the Black Book, because, Lisa, I've been wondering and wondering and wondering. There were some people that weren't called during the trial, one of them being Sarah Callan, who was Jeffrey Epstein's assistant and who apparently made a lot of these massage appointments for him. She was not granted immunity to testify. I was reading about this in a Daily Beast story last night, and she wasn't granted immunity to testify, and she's somebody whose name was brought up a lot during Maxwell's trial, a lot. So do you think we've heard the end of this, Lisa? Because we do. You do think we've heard the end of it, or you don't?
No, I don't.
I'm wondering if the feds are going to charge more people.
And I think now there's a precedent set, okay? So now we have a conviction. Now we have 20 years. They already know what ammunition they needed to seal this case, what witnesses they needed to have come forward. And for somebody like you said, I didn't know about that woman in the Daily Beast article about her not getting immunity for that. So if that's the case, the feds had already spoken to her, and now they're going to look at, what do I need to do going forward? And I think a lot of these witnesses are fearful. Jeffrey Epstein died by strangulation, suicide allegedly, and now we have Ghislaine saying she's on suicide watch, but she wants everybody to know she's not suicidal. So people on the outside who are looking at this, who are fearful that they can't be protected if they come forward with this incredible information. Kurt, Ghislaine knows where the bodies are buried, okay? She was with Jeffrey Epstein for a good while. We still have the specter of Prince Andrew, the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of Ohio, or New York, pardon me, has said many times that they want to talk to Prince Andrew. And Prince Andrew settled a lawsuit with Virginia Giuffre earlier this year. So where do we go from here? I mean, if you're Ghislaine's attorney and the appeal is not successful, do you advise her to start talking?
Well, depending on what she knows, right? Maybe that's a bargaining chip where you say, listen, do you want to know where the bodies are buried? How about, in exchange for us dropping an appeal, maybe a better sentence, a resentencing, we have a little chat and give you the information we can. If Ms. Maxwell is willing to do something like that, it's not a bad idea on the behalf of the defense at this point. The problem with it is it's kind of late, right? You're not going to get as much credit now that the government's gone through a trial, actually convicted you, and you've been sentenced significantly. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't be interested and wouldn't be willing to do something to find those, as you put it, bodies.
question I have for you, and I really thought that this whole issue with the juror, remember this? The juror in Ghislaine Maxwell's trial had given a number of interviews after the verdict saying that he talked about his own experience as a sexual abuse survivor, and he talked about that during deliberations. And apparently that information had not been disclosed during voir dire or on the questionnaire. So I thought that very well may lead to a new trial for Ghislaine Maxwell. Judge Nason said, nah. But what happens when it gets to the appellate courts?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the trial judge, after sitting through a trial like that, is not going to grant that motion. But they preserved that issue. That is definitely going to be an issue on appeal. Trial judges are very, very hesitant to invade the province of the jury. Right, so I understand that ruling, but it definitely is a significant appeal issue. And if the government is sitting in the U.S. Attorney's Office going, man, that could cause us some problems, in exchange for waiving that appeal or dropping an appeal, if she gives some information and we give a better sentence, there's always bargaining to be done. So this might not be over.